Hi, I'm Robin. Today I'd like to walk you through the techniques and one of the cards in our Autumn Splendor kit. You'll learn to make shadowbox cards. Let's create the Harvest Blessings card. It's on page 6 of your leaflet. We'll start by embellishing the card pieces, then we'll assemble at the end. Start by adhering a 2 1/4 inch by 5 1/2 inch piece of plaid paper to the center section of an ivory card. Lay an ivory card that has an oval opening in it down on your surface. Make sure the opening is closer to the top than to the bottom. Apply adhesive to a light yellow oval wheat die cut and lay it face down, centered over the opening. Then position the card that you just put the plaid paper on aligned with the card with the opening and press to adhere the die cut. And that will help you to get the die cut in the right position. Now adhere 1 green and 2 orange skeleton leaves to the die cut. I used an adhesive dot for this, and adhere a wheat shock die cut on top of the leaves. We'll set this aside now while we work on the front piece of the card. Adhere a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of green flocked paper to an ivory card piece that has a window. Then turn it over and use detail scissors to cut out the oval opening. And I find it easier to cut the opening about 1/4 inch smaller than what you're going to end up with, and then to go back and cut closely around the opening. You could also use a craft knife if you would prefer. Once we have this opening cut, we'll be ready to apply some rub-ons. I already cut out the Harvest Blessings acorn and leaf rub-ons. Remove the backing from the first rub-on and position it on a light yellow oval die cut. Rub firmly with your craft stick. Be sure to rub over the entire surface of the rub-on, and ideally you should be on a firm, hard surface. That will make your rub-ons release better. My surface has some give to it, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get the rub-ons to release. But if you can see right here, the color of the rub-on has changed, and that's letting me know that it has released. And just keep rubbing over it until you see it starting to release. Pay particular attention to the edges and the smaller, finer lines so that all of that will release. Then carefully begin peeling it back, making sure everything is released. I can see right here that this part is coming back up, so I'm going to lay it back down. Rub over it a little more, and now it's adhering. Sometimes you'll see some little white spots. That's some that did not adhere well, and you can lay it back down, and sometimes you can get those to adhere, and if it doesn't, I would suggest filling it in with a fine tip marker. Repeat that with the remaining rub-ons, and when you're done with that, we'll be ready to fray some ribbon. Use adhesive foam dots to adhere the die cut to the front of the card. Now we're going to begin with our frayed ribbon by punching 2 holes near the top, and they'll be about 3/4 of an inch apart. You can see mine isn't really centered real well, so if you want to make sure to get it centered, I would make a template and lay it over. Now insert both ends of the ribbon through the holes. Turn it to the back, crisscross the ribbons, and thread both ends back to the front again. So you've got a nice flat faux knot there. And now is the fun part. You'll notice on one end when you pull, it will not fray very easily, and on the other end it will just fray out really nice. So start with that end, pull it until it's frayed as far down as you would like, and then cut off the piece that you pulled. On the side that doesn't fray easily, you need to take some scissors and cut carefully right along the selvage edge, the entire length of the ribbon. Then you'll pull the threads out until you get to the other selvage edge, which you will trim off. This adds a really fun, different look to the ribbon. Finish the front of the card by piercing a hole through the ribbon and the card and inserting a brad. And you may need to wiggle it around a little bit. Mine went through pretty easily. Now we've got the front and back both finished, and we're ready to assemble our shadowbox card. Shadowbox cards are made from 2 pieces of cardstock. These measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. One piece has a window so that you'll be able to see the embellishments inside, and both pieces are scored. I'll turn this one over so you can see it. They're scored at 1/2 inch and 1 inch along both sides. Once the card has been embellished, you'll lay the front face up and the back face down. Now we're going to fold the card edges along the outermost scores, and these will be called valley folds. And you may need to lift up this card a little bit so you can see where that score line is. And use your bone folder to get a nice sharp crease. And I've got one more to do here. Make sure I'm getting it along there. Now we're going to fold on the innermost score lines. We're going to fold it back, and these will be referred to as mountain folds. And if you hold it this way, you can see the valley and the mountain. So maybe that will, references will make a little more sense to you. And do the same thing on this one. You need to be really careful when you're close to the opening. Sometimes it doesn't want to bend really well there. I turned it upside down so I could see what I was doing. The reason we put one face up and one face down is we need the folds to be the opposite on the front of the card versus the back of the card. Apply adhesive to the outermost sections and then adhere those outer sections together. And now you got this shadow box effect. To mail these, just squeeze them down flat and the recipient can puff them up a little bit again. Your message would be written on the back of this type of card. Three-dimensional embellishments can cause mailing concerns. If your card is over 1/4 inch thick, it won't fit through automated postal machines, so will require additional postage. If your card is less than 1/4 inch thick, but has a lump that is caused by a bulky embellishment, you may want to slip in a piece of scrap cardstock or bubble wrap between the envelope and the card to even out the lumps. Thanks for making cards with me today. Have fun creating all of the cards with this kit. They're perfect to send to family and friends this autumn.